Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Fighter and the Analyst. I'm GK, the Fight Analyst, and this
And
man over here, Peter Petty's the Fighter, the PFL Fighter. What's up, bro?
chilling. How you feeling? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Ready to get some of these fights in this weekend. I'm very excited at UFC 243.
Oh yeah, it's a good amount. The main event, it could be definitely fight of the year.
Oh hell yeah, man! I've been waiting for this for a while now. So how's everything going with your rehab and that? You know.
Everything's going good. So far, where we're on track. I've been doing a lot of PT, trying to, work the muscles back up and get the strength back in the arm. As of right now, I never had surgery before, so this is a new type of thing for me. So, I think personally, I'm hoping it sooner than 6 months. That's the recovery time. But, this is the first time I've really had the time to really chill out, honestly, in the last 14 years. I've been kind of going hard since I graduated high school in this MMA grind. So I'm taking my lessons with it. I'm relaxing, just enjoying life a little bit. This is also the first time that I should also add that asterisk that I've been able to chill out with some money. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's nice to not have to worry about live paycheck to paycheck. So right now, I've been living life a little bit, enjoying the fruits of my labor, and enjoying the downtime. But as soon as I get cleared from the doctor, I will be right back to it. I actually have my follow up with the surgeon tomorrow, so I'm hoping he clears me to at least start drilling jiu-jitsu or so. So I think that's really what I'm looking forward to. But I'm feeling pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, that's great to hear, bro. I mean, I know you're probably getting, the itch to get back in there and start rolling and, sparring and, trying to get back on track and get back in there and get some fights going.
Yeah, biggest thing, I think the scariest part is this is my first time being out extended. So not really being in a room, not running. I haven't really been. I've been active the last 14 years, like I said, since I graduated, even longer from high school. So this is literally the first time that I've been forced to not do anything. And I think that's why I've been putting all this other energy into things like cooking and learning and just a lot of putting my eggs in other baskets. I think I have low key ADD, honestly. So I always do it.
No, that's good though. Keep your mind off stuff and just keep busy. I see that you're starting up a new meal plan business. You want to kind of tell everybody about that. Get the thing rolling, get some
Yeah.
sales going.
So the cool thing is it's not really a meal plan. The way it came about was, I guess I should backtrack. When I started talking to my current girlfriend, who I've known since 8th grade, we kind of just we kind of hung out, and then it was around the time of my birthday or so. So she was like, "Oh, your birthday just passed. I should cook you a dinner." And me being the foodie that I am, I'm like, "Man, your food's probably some shit." Like I was joking, I always like to give like a benefit of the doubt type of thing, throw a little bit of shade. So she's like, "Yeah, just come through. I'll cook you something." So I came through, and she probably cooked the best meal of my life. Like not even lie, it was steak, shrimp and lobster Alfredo, and then these and I thought it was a joke. So I thought maybe it was like a one time, fluke type of thing. And then she'd be like, "Hey, you want some breakfast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," And she would go in her fridge and make like restaurant quality food. And I'm like, this isn't normal. Like you have like a skill that people would pay for. So then she started teaching me to cook. So I was like, why don't we just record it? I have a following, and people started saying, "Hey, are you guys selling that? I'll buy it." So this weekend, ironically, the Joker's coming out. As you know, my nickname is Joker.
Yeah.
And then you also add in the fact that I'm actually pretty free this weekend, and she's pretty free. So we're like, why don't we just mess around and offer it up for purchase and see how many hits we get? Right now we didn't expect. A lot of it's just a joke. Like I'm still learning to cook. She's I'm the brains behind that. I have the following, but she's the manpower behind all the food and everything. So a lot of it is we just offered it to see how many bites we got, and it's been kind of spiraling out of control because now I think we're gonna do a cutoff because now I'm realizing I really have to deliver all these meals. That's the thing where at first it started as a joke, and now that I got orders and pre-orders and everything, I'm like, damn,
Wow.
I really don't want to spend my weekend delivering all this. But it's good food. I mean, like literally, when I say people are gonna taste this and be like, holy shit, like I would give a money back guarantee. Like I would put her up. I'm not saying against Chef, but I'm saying if you had a boy who can cook and I brought her, I would put my. I'm a betting man, as you know. I would put my money on her, and you'll probably be like, shit, she can't cook. So it kind of started with that. I think we're gonna mess around and do maybe once a month, just because we're both super busy. But at the end of the day, she enjoys it. I actually like learning it, and I really enjoy giving away. So if I was I'm not at the financial position that I can give it away to people just yet, let alone time. But it's one of those things where it's really good, and I think when people try it, they're gonna be like, "Holy shit!" and they're gonna be coming back and back and back. So at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur, a hustler, and at heart, So I figured, why not just have some fun with it? So.
I mean, that shit looks fantastic. I was watching the videos and that shit looks good and fire. Hopefully I can maybe try it sometime. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of too far away. Maybe one day.
No, she's a traveler, so I know you're in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we make it up to Florida, she's always trying to get me to travel more, and we're starting to do a little bit more now that I have to have this downtime. So if we make it down there, we link up. I'll have her cook you some stuff for sure.
Definitely, bro. Yeah, but you definitely have to come down here, man. You got a lot of shit down here. Miami, Miami Beach. You can go over to Disney, all that good stuff. It's fun out here.
I'm a traveler, honestly. So like I have a routine, but I don't know. I'm trying to open up my horizons and change.
Man, you gotta get out, bro.
I'm telling. It's hard. It is hard.
It's fun to see new places and that. I don't get to travel much, having a family, so it's a little tougher. But I at least try to go somewhere once a year, hopefully. But whatever,
I'm trying.
Let's get down to some of these fights. You hear about this beef between Israel Adesanya and John Jones. I mean, what do you make of that? That crazy shit. I don't see that really fight ever, coming to fruition. Unfortunately, it's just because it's out of the realm. I mean, is he probably, if he wins the title, maybe he want to go up to chase another title? But I think John Jones would just mop the floor with him.
I mean, skill set for skill set, yes. I mean, John Jones being the bigger guy, the more well-rounded, the championship experience. But I think that's a fan's fight for sure. And we all know in the UFC, money talks. So, if Israel gets through this weekend, I think it's a possibility. After seeing Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, anything's a possibility. They're literally strapping a fake title to whoever wins. I personally like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. Nate Diaz and Jorge are two of my favorite fighters of all time. And it's because they're fighters. They're not the guys who are going to duck anyone. And I think when you look at it, I see both sides. Izzy, at the end of the day, he is a striking beast, let alone people really haven't given him credit for his takedown defense or just his well-roundedness. I think the cool thing about MMA is when you go into MMA, you have to be good at everything. So you have to be decent at striking, you have to be decent at wrestling, and you have to be decent in jiu-jitsu. Those are like the three main disciplines. And then it's up to you to put it together. Now, I don't think people are given or have given Israel enough credit for how well he's put it together. Coming in, everybody knew that he was a kickboxer. His kickboxing record, he was in glory. Everybody knew what he was. But I think his takedown defense and the fact that he put it together so well is really underrated. And he doesn't get enough credit for that in that regards, let alone his showmanship is big too. I'm big on showmanship. And, he is one of those guys that from an outside spectrum, he has a Conor McGregor-ish, meaning if I was a common fan or like a regular person just watching, a friend invites me to watch some fights and I see him, I can get behind that because he has a personality. It's very rare in fighting that you find a top guy with personality, and I think Israel brings both of those. So, I think this weekend's going to be a good test, but I also think he proved a lot to people with his Kevin Gastelum fight. That was probably arguably fight of the year already. So he could possibly have two.
That was fantastic, bro.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he should.
That was insane.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and I bet on Kevin Gastelum, so I can't even front. That dude, he blew me out of the water with that performance. It was phenomenal. He defended 7 of 8 takedowns with Kevin Gastelum. He's defended 42 of 49 takedowns in only 1.5 years of being in the UFC. That's insane. Mm-hmm. Every single person has tried to take him down at least once, except for Silva. Everybody else tried to take him down. Mm-hmm. He's only been taken down 7 times, and 5 of those 7 times came in the first 2 fights in the UFC. Yeah. The rest, it was once, and that's it. And that's insane. Derek Brunson went 0 for 7 on his takedowns. So they're not like you said, they're not giving him enough credit. I mean, when he got taken down against Kevin Gastelum, he tried to go for a triangle. That's insane. You didn't think this guy had any jiu-jitsu. You don't think he had any takedown defense. You think he's just going to stand there and strike. Man, that's crazy. And it's going to be a fight to watch with Whitaker. I mean, Whitaker looked absolutely fucking insane. I don't know if you've seen the open workouts. He looks bigger than ever. I mean, he looks faster than I've ever seen him. I just don't. It's going to be. It's anyone's fight. I mean, if I'm a betting man, which I obviously am, I don't know. I think I'm going with Izzy on this fight. What are you thinking?
Honestly, for me, I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my betting career, and what I have started to learn, or what I started doing with my betting, is staying away from events like this and just being a fan. Because a lot of times I'll do parlays, and I'll just, at the end of the parlay, I'll put 2 bets, and I'll bet 1 on Izzy and probably 1 on Kevin Gastelum. I mean, not Gastelum, on Whitaker. Just because you can't go wrong. Either way. Yeah. I mean, the lines are so close, too. They're so close you can't even touch them, honestly, at this point. So,
yeah, I mean, it's 50-50. Literally anybody has a shot there. You can argue, on both sides. Both sides, you got points. I mean, Whitaker is arguably one of the best middleweights probably ever. And Izzy's, if he gets this, he's on pace to be one of the best ever as well. I mean, it's so close. You're talking about statistics-wise, Whitaker is absurd. He throws almost 12 strikes a minute, lands absurd, about 5 strikes a minute. You have Izzy on the other side. He's throwing over 9 strikes a minute, landing almost 5 as well. His striking defense from a distance is 68%. He's outstriking his opponents from a distance at 1.91 to 1. It's insane. Whitaker is 1.68 to 1. I mean, it's so closely matched on the feet that, it really can't go wrong in either way. If you lose the fight, you're kind of like, damn, I thought that was a bad call, but then you're like, I don't know, was it really? Because, I mean, they're both so good, and I'm a fan of both of them, but I'm going with Israel Adesanya. We're getting a good line on him. He dropped all the way from, I know he was plus 160 open, but that didn't last. It dropped all the way down to a pick'em, and now he's actually the favorite at minus 120, which, if we've seen in the past, any championship fights, underdogs they've won a lot, especially if you got champion underdogs. Those dudes usually come through. So, I mean, it's anyone's fight. I'm taking Izzy at minus 120 as of now. I had him at plus 100 a couple days ago, and that's what also I gave out to some of my clients. Top to bottom, this is not really a great card, but that fight is flames.
It definitely is. I think that's going to be a big seller. And as you said, it is a pick'em. It's just a flip of a coin, honestly. So that's one of those. If I'm a betting man, which I am, as you said, also, I'm probably staying off that or betting both sides on 2 different parlays. So,
I mean, that makes complete sense. I really like that aspect. You know, if you're ending your parlay with those two, just do two super bets, separate bets, and then betting on both sides of your last leg. I mean, it makes sense. Or even just if you get to that last leg, just hedge the other way if you got the money. I threw in like a fuck it, 17 parlay pays out like $500 for like $20.
Yeah.
Why the hell not? Stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of close fights and a lot of too much juice to really go into it. But yeah, I'm also really liking the debut of Brad Riddell. Have you ever heard of him?
What was it?
His name is Brad Riddell, I believe. I think that's how you pronounce his name. You haven't heard of him?
Is that the one that Izzy was posting about?
Probably because they trained together.
Yeah, I think that's who he was posting about.
That dude he's gonna be something special. He's still a work in progress. He's a kickboxer, obviously. His background's Muay Thai. Comes in. He used to train he used to be the striking coach for Tiger Muay Thai in Phuket, and then he used to train Volkanovski's striking. So he used to be his striking coach. So now they both moved to City Kickboxing, and now he's a striking coach out there. So he's got much better, opponents out there, and he's massive. That dude is a tank, and he's normally a welterweight, 170 pounds. He's moving down to 155 to take this fight against Jamie Malarkey, who was a former 145er, taking it at 155. So I'm really liking him. I think, and then on the line, which was crazy that I just saw, the money line's minus 170, but you could take him to win by KO at plus 230.
That's not bad. It's not bad at all.
You're talking about a Muay Thai kickboxer. 5 of his 6 wins are by knockout.
Yeah.
I don't see how he's going to win a decision. Plus 230 to win by knockout. Give me that all day.
Yeah.
All day. Even if you don't want, just place a little $10. You get $23 back. I'll take that.
Yeah, it is a good. You might as well just go with that. I mean, when you look at statistically, you're breaking it down as Muay Thai fighter against MMA fighter, smaller too. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm not taking anything away from Malarkey. He's good. He's 12-2, I believe. Yeah. He fought Volkanovski and got knocked out in the first round, but still fought him. Good, But I don't think his takedown offense is going to be good enough to really take down somebody as big as Riddell, who's really a 170-pounder and looks like a freaking tank. So I would take him by KO plus 230. Really liking that bet a lot.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of this card, it's very hard to really pick spots here, betting wise. It's really hard. I'm really looking forward to next week's card a lot. To be honest with you, a lot of close lines for UFC Tampa Bay. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. No, that one is. I'm still kicking myself. I put myself on a little hiatus just while I was getting surgery and everything from this past anything in September. So I wasn't playing anything in September, and I figured I'd get back to it in October. And all of the stuff that I thought was gonna happen did. And I'm like kicking myself because I missed out probably on, when I put money wise for a month, I probably missed out on close to $3,000, maybe $4,000 in money.
Damn.
And what I'm saying, just for example, like last week, or was that 2 weeks ago, the card in Mexico.
Yeah.
Or there was another card. Which one was last week? Am I going crazy?
Copenhagen.
There we go. The Copenhagen. I think Uriah Hall came through.
No, that was
before Copenhagen. Oh, there was a few underdogs.
I'm assuming you were about to take Killer Gorilla, probably, right?
There you go. That's one.
Yeah. I had a feeling you would.
There was one more that I'm kicking myself that I missed, and I didn't pull the trigger. And I thought about it, and I swear, I shit you not, I looked at the time, and when like bookies cut times off?
Yeah.
I looked at the time, and it had already started, and then it happened, and it was like a plus 230 or something like that.
Damn.
So it's just one of those, I'm going to get back to it in October, but some of it was just, when you I I think addiction is real, everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
So
that's for sure.
when you start to feel like you need to keep betting, even if you win and you're like scratching yourself about winning again, at that point you need to just put a self-imposed hiatus on yourself, and that's what I did. That's what I did.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's true. You gotta limit yourself. You have to have a bankroll. You have to have, a little chunk of money that you're willing to lose, but don't go over that. If you go over that, trying to keep chasing, yeah, you're just putting yourself into a hole, and your bookie's gonna try to come at you and break some kneecaps to get your money. So
Yeah, I mean, my thing was just like it was to a point where my friends, even my family, was like, "You don't even watch baseball," and I was betting on baseball. It was like, man, shut up. But I'm winning. So it was like literally to that point.
just let me watch the game.
There you go. Exactly.
No, I mean I've been there. I was betting on freaking soccer and shit. And I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm live. I'm not just betting on soccer. I'm live betting unders in soccer. That's when you're like, okay, you're being a little bit of a degenerate here.
Exactly.
You need to chill the fuck out.
Yep.
You know. I'm really looking forward to. There's a lot of good fights coming up. Like you were mentioning about the Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal fight. That's gonna be fucking insane. You have Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington coming up. We have Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. I mean, we have fights for days coming up. And I'm stoked. End of the year is ramping up.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? As far as what's coming up for the UFC.
I think fight wise, definitely everybody's looking forward to Nate Diaz for him, Masvidal. You can't be that. That's a fighter's fight. At the end of the day, you're gonna get two guys who aren't gonna back down. Are gonna show up, and you just sit back and you relax. Outside of that, Max always puts on performances. So definitely the Max and Alexander. I'm gonna butcher his name, but I'm gonna say Alexander V. That fight, I think that is definitely a fight to watch for sure, and I think more so because it's interesting. I think Max gets better every fight. Even it's arguably that Max really won that Dustin Poirier fight. You can make that case that he won that fight still. Even coming on later in the rounds, and Dustin, he pulled that out. But at the same time, you could still argue that Max edge. I would not want to personally have been a judge on that night. I will say, because I would just flip and be like, all right. But if we're looking at damage, yes, I guess I would give it to Dustin. But I think that fight's going to be good. There's a bunch of good cards to really finish out the year. And I think a lot of people, I noticed Ryan Hall said something. And I told a few people at the gym, I'm starting to hook a little bit of people as, MMA betting, and I believe is one of those where if you actually just look at things for face value and don't get caught up in all the hype, you can make a lot of money. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Literally, you can really make a lot of money. And I was telling a few of my friends about your website. I think you need to put your plug in there about your Fight Analyst.
Yeah. I mean, I have to get the website back. I just been doing it, social media wise, stuff like that. I was lacking on the website a little bit, but I'll get it back again. It's on a little bit of a hiatus, but
yeah, I mean, you still have to release your picks. I'm just saying, I have a number of people that ask me, and I'm like, look, like you break down the stats, you bring a different type of analysis to it. I don't even like when you say 15 strikes per minute. I'm like, shit, I've never even thought about it in that way. Like, I know I probably feel like I hate to say 5 per minute. I'm like, damn, I got to get my volume up. Like, shit. But like when you break it down like that, it really makes you think. And I like being a fighter. I don't even think about it in that term.
Yeah, I mean, everybody thinks of it a different way. The majority of the MMA handicappers out there, they're watching tape. They're looking at ways, movements and stuff like that. And I get all that. I used to watch tape at the beginning when I started this like four years ago. I don't watch tape anymore ever. I never watch tape unless it's a guy I've never ever seen ever before, like Brad Riddell, something like that. I would watch some tape on, but majority of the time is just strength of schedule, fight time, who they fought, and the stats. I love numbers because if you think about it, if you have two guys that are they're just good to straight up strike, how are you going to find the edge in who's going to win? You're going to find it by just how they move and how they throw their punches. No, you need more of an edge than that, and that's where I get the stats from, like Israel Adesanya and Robert Whitaker. It's going to be a straight up stand up battle. But then you have who's a better striker, and I'm going to go with Izzy just based on the stats. He's landing over 50% of his strikes, whereas Whitaker is only landing 40. But Whitaker is also throwing 3 more strikes per minute than Izzy is because he's he's fast paced. He pushes the pace, pushes the pressure, and that's why he's landing less. But from a distance, Izzy's absolutely outstanding. His guys are only landing his opponents are only landing 32% of their strikes against him at a distance because he has a 7-inch reach advantage. It's stuff like that I kind of look into. You have to find a little edge somewhere, especially if it's two guys that kind of look like they're about the same, especially same style of fighting, striking. That's my forte, and I've been a stats guy for my entire life. I've loved math my entire life. I'm an accountant by day, MMA handicapper by night. So I bring my math skills to the MMA world.
No, that's smart. That's smart. I mean, I think one thing is, how did you get into the whole MMA game? I think as a thing.
Oh man, I mean, I started handicapping baseball 5 years ago. Then I've always been a fan of MMA since the Ultimate Fighter 1, but I didn't know you could bet on MMA until I saw some people talking about it or on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, damn, that's a niche I think I could probably get into. And then I started watching endless amounts of tape, even while I'm working. I'm just watching tape on fighters. And then once I saw that UFC had a website where you can look up stats, I'm like, oh shit. So I could put that 2 and 2 together, my tape with the stats and really cram this out and make some money for people. And then it just kind of took off and I started grinding and putting out content, writing for some media outlets a little bit. I got too hectic and with work and having a family, so I kind of toned down on writing. It just took a lot, and I'm not the best writer out there. I could get my point across, but writing is a whole different type of ballgame. But then I just started going on social media and just talking it up, and here we are today.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, let me just talk about like the chat over here. My man Fat Fist over here in the chat. My bad, bro. I didn't see all this chatting you're doing, but yeah, I mean, watching tape is great. Like I said, everybody has their own way of handicapping fights. My personal way, I take what I know, strengths and weaknesses of both fighters, and then I bring my stats into it. And like you said, Fat Fist, that styles make fights. So punching stats, and that doesn't always isn't always the right way, but we can only do so much as a handicapper and giving people advice in fights and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm not fucking in there fighting, and anything could happen. Jorge Masvidal can go in and knock somebody out in 5 seconds. That type of shit happens, and it's out of our control. And mind you, I bet on Ben Askren that fight. So, I mean, shit happens. I mean, it's only nothing you can do on our end is just make the best possible prediction you can, and whatever happens.
That's true.
But like, I mean, you have to have some type of edge since you are a fighter. How do you look at fights if you're trying to bet on them?
I think for me, I mainly look at who they fought. I think for me, I had a different type of view on the fight game, and it's more so an inside view. And I think when you look at it right now, MMA is slowly becoming boxing. And what I mean by that is these guys, there's a bunch of guys who are padding their record, fighting nobodies until they get to 10-0. And then when they get to UFC, they get their first animal. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing. I think strength of schedule in MMA is a big one. If you haven't fought wrestlers, if you haven't fought strikers, if you've really padded your record with losing records, you haven't fought anyone, then how are you going to get a good gauge of how good a person is? There's certain people who, and I think in MMA, you see it in the Contender all the time. You see it in all these UFC guys that debut undefeated. It's very rare that you get a talent who's tested. And I hate to say the best, example of this is Sage Northcutt. I remember when
that's true.
I think at 6-0, and I was like, what, this guy? And you look at it and you're like, he has that label of LFA, but people don't realize that Sage is from Dallas, Texas. LFA is Dallas based. He's selling tickets. He's getting favorable matchups. And there's certain things about that. So, the cool thing we say at my gym is skills pay the bills. And, at the end of the day, if you're good, the harsh thing about this MMA game, it's not how quickly you make it, and only the strong survive. You can make it to the UFC in like a year or two, but you're probably going to be fleshed out in a year or two too. You can make it in 5 years, 6 years. And if you have the skills, you're going to stay. If you don't, you're going to go bye-bye, and I think that's the big thing about this MMA game. And I think that's what I really enjoy about the Nate Diaz, the Jorge Masvidal. They didn't get the favorable matchups, Jorge came up street fighting. Then he went to Strikeforce. And even when Strikeforce first came in, they were like, oh, these guys are going to get washed by the UFC. They didn't. They held their own. A lot of the champs really came from Strikeforce and WEC. And I remember when they took that merger, most people were like, oh, they're going to get murdered in the UFC. And no, they held their own. And I think that's the one thing that people really, I want to say, embedding. You really have to dive into these people and see who they are as a fighter. Because, I hate to say, matchmakers or the people signing, they don't care. It's been, I don't want to say, it's known. It's a known fact that they don't care who you fought. It's what that record is. And you have that record, they can sell that, And then if you don't, then it's just a matter of you just got to keep grinding. And I like to say another one also, Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, 6'4", maybe 2 years ago, if you probably had told him he was going to fight John Jones at 32-14 or something, who could have predicted that? And at the end of the day, it's a marathon. I hate to say it. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And I think in this MMA game, people have to look at it and look more so in the depth of strength of schedule, as you said. That's how I pick them. And it's gotten me pretty far at this point. I would say money-wise, like my biggest night, my biggest night was the Uriah Faber, Ricky Simone fight. And
oh my God. I'm so mad at that fight, bro.
That made me so, I probably made $2,000 that night, maybe $3,000. And
obviously you bet on Faber, right?
Yeah, I put everything on Faber, and then I played. There was another underdog that I parlayed with Faber, and that underdog was like a plus 300. I think it was a guy out of Alliance. It was a little wrestler guy. I can't remember his name, but he was like a plus 300, and I tied that with Uriah. It was just a killing night. I can't even, I still have great dreams about that night.
Bro, I was upset because I'm a big fan of Ricky Simone. I had a MMA business, not too long ago, and he was my first sponsored fighter. So, I always have ties to him. So I was so adamant that he was gonna win that fight, and and then the way he went down, I was like,
I'm not. The thing about it is, at the end of the day, I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I am not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, as Jorge said, there's no school like the old school. And you're right, pioneers. And for him, I just thought it was disrespect for him to be plus 275 or something. I thought that was blatant disrespect to Uriah.
It was.
Sacramento.
Yeah, definitely. It really was.
Had he lost, I would have been fine with that too. But that's a chance that I'm willing to take. Ricky Simone, I think, don't get me wrong, we fought on the same card back in Titan 3 years ago. And I don't think anything, like, I think he's good. Like, he's a decent fighter. He comes, he brings it. But when we go stat for stat, where Ricky Simone is good, Uriah Faber was better, other than age. You know,
Yeah.
like
See, that was my mindset. I mean, he's coming off a 3-year layoff. I mean, he lost to Nicky Ryan in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match not too long ago before that.
I mean,
So
Nicky Ryan, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a little hater, but you know, coming from Lloyd's, I think Nicky Ryan just beat one of our guys, and Nicky Ryan doesn't get enough credit. And
I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you're Uriah Faber. I mean, you're a legend in MMA, and
in MMA, that's not jiu-jitsu. MMA is
you're right. No, you're right. But you think you've been doing jiu-jitsu? I would think Faber's been doing jiu-jitsu before this kid was out of diapers.
It's the different. It's hard because you would think that, but when you really break it down, I hate to say, there's not enough hours in a day. And
you're right.
an MMA fighter, like for me, I do jiu-jitsu, but I don't do it as much as I should. I'm going to do it a lot more because at the end of the day, it would be ignorant for me to lose the way that I lost in the PFL and not do it,
I mean, if you didn't have jiu-jitsu at all, oh shit, you're breaking up a little bit. If you didn't have jiu-jitsu at all, you would have been tapped like at least 10 times in that second fight. I mean, the way you were able to get out of that was just absolutely fucking insane.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And that's what I'm telling people. At the end of the day, I'm a blue belt. I come from one of the best jiu-jitsu schools in the world, but my focus was never offensive jiu-jitsu. And I need to start adding that in, And what I'm getting at in the sport of it, yes, Uriah Faber is Uriah Faber in MMA, but at the end of the day, it's a wrestling school. You're going to get D1 wrestlers nonstop. You're not going to get jiu-jitsu guys that come in. He's not training jiu-jitsu every day. And if he is, he's not training with high-level jiu-jitsu guys. He has a basic jiu-jitsu. And then you take Nicky Ryan, who's training with high-level Henzo guys every day. That's just a different type of mentality. So,
well, and then his brother is also the greatest no-gi grappler on the face of the planet too. So, that helps.
Exactly. I mean, he proved it. I hate to say this past weekend, but you can't. Haters gonna hate, and I'm a self-admittedly say hater a little bit.
I don't know, man. I'm a fan of Gordon Ryan. That dude, he's so good. I can't hate on somebody. That's like hating on Tom Brady. Like, that's how good this dude is. Like, he's the Tom Brady of jiu-jitsu. Like,
I hate Tom Brady. I will,
I mean, like,
it's one thing.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody hates Tom Brady.
I'm perfectly fine. Like, I think haters have. I'm comfortable in my skin. So what I'll say is I'm a hater, and I'll admit that I'm a hater. So if you're a hater, you have to admit that you're a hater. Like Tom Brady, I admit that I hate Tom Brady, and it's not. Some people are too insecure to admit that they're a hater. Like, there's certain things. Like, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and somebody would be like, "Well, you're just like, I was born into a Cowboys family, so I'm not like the guy who is like going around saying those. How about them boys? You know what I mean? I'm the guy who says I'm just a Cowboys fan, but you can't get on the Cowboys if you're a Redskins fan. You guys can't talk. You guys cannot have this conversation. You just have to admit that you're a hater. And what I'm saying is, I am willing to admit that I am a hater on Tom Brady. I hate the Patriots, and with Gordon Ryan, by association, being from Team Lloyd Irvin, I'm a hater on Gordon Ryan. I mean, he can be the best.
So you guys have, like, not beef, but I mean, you have your gym is a rival to their gym.
Exactly. So, by association, I think he's good, and I love what he did. I think I love what he's bringing to jiu-jitsu. But by sitting at my lunch table at Lloyd's, I can't go out there and be like that. So
I'm with you on that. Do you think he can make the transition to MMA though?
Yeah. I mean, I think jiu-jitsu and MMA is lacking to the point where he'll be 80% of the guys until he gets against someone who's equally, someone like Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall will beat a lot of these guys, or just off pure jujitsu. Once you get somebody who's comfortable in those positions and has the better stand up, then it'll be how good of a fighter is he? Then we'll find that. But he'll beat 90% of these MMA guys just with his jujitsu. 90.
Yeah,
95.
like Gary Tonin, he's working over there at, in is it one? I think one championship. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing work and he looked great.
Mhm.
I mean, his stand up actually looks pretty decent too, which is very surprising. But then he rolls for your leg and then you're done.
No, I hear you. Oh, look at that. We got another chat there. Tom is the man. Tom Brady is the man. Not gonna lie.
Oh, you want to know between Hooker and Al Iaquinta? That's a tough fight. I'm gonna go with Hooker just based on he's been on a tear as of late. Al's coming off a war against Donald Cerrone where he got absolutely demolished for 25 minutes. Hooker is in a place where he's pretty much in the hometown favorite, position there. And I just think he has more momentum going. It's a stalemate of a fight. Both are stand-up strikers, but Hooker's got a massive reach advantage there. Got some good kicks, good strikes. I just think Hooker probably gets this done by decision. That's my take on it. I mean, it's a 50. You're getting better line on Al, but then again, Al's also not a full-time fighter. He's also a real estate agent too. He's not in the gym as much as Hooker. I would think. Maybe people can tell me different, but I see Hooker in the gym all the time with Israel and some of those killers out in City Kickboxing. I think Al has more other things going on in his life other than fighting, and that's some things you have to actually kind of consider when looking to betting as well. You got to see, the lifestyle of some of these fighters. Are they really full-time fighters? Are they working a 9 to 5 as well? Who's really in the gym more? That's kind of what I did when I took Sabina Mazo over Shayna Dobson. Shayna Dobson actually has a 9 to 5. Sabina Mazo trains 9 to 5, at King's MMA. So I kind of went in there. I had a great plus line at decision. I think it was like plus 220 for Sabina Mazo to win by decision. So I just think, that's kind of something you have to look into other than just how these people are fighting. How are they fighting? Are they training a lot or are they, half-assing it?
Okay. No, I like it. I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going Alaquinta. I'm going and the main reason being, as you said, I think Dan Hooker is riding the momentum. It's in his backyard for the most part. However, I think people forget that Dan Hooker lost to Jason Knight, and Jason Knight. And there's one more that was very interesting loss. And I think Alaquinta, if you look at his last 2 losses, most recent being Khabib by decision, as well as outside of Khabib, Donald Cerrone, which was a decision. I think you look at that and we go match up. I think Alaquinta is just more well-rounded. So I'm going with Alaquinta on the upset. I'm going to go with that by decision, honestly.
I mean, that's a good play. And if you take it by decision, I think you get upwards of 2 to 1, almost close to 3 to 1 odds. That's not bad because right now I think he's sitting at plus 150, plus 160 to win. And then by decision prop should be upwards of 2.5 to 1 probably. And that's not bad. Kim Shitstein Kassim. I don't know about that. Because Kim is a great striker in her own right. But the thing is, she's susceptible to takedowns. And I know we haven't seen a ton of takedowns from Naja Kassim. But if we saw her against Alex, I forgot her name, Alex, damn it, in her first fight, she took her down and she dominated her. And I think that could probably happen here. And it's kind of, this fight reminds me of the Sabina Mazo versus Shayna Dobson fight. And I see it kind of going the same way. I thought Sabina Mazo was going to just strike with her the entire time, but she actually took her down and absolutely dominated Shayna on the mat, which was kind of crazy. And I see Kasim doing the same and probably taking a decision here, which is plus 220 for her to win by decision. I love decision props because if you ask me, it's hard for one professional fighter to knock out or submit another professional fighter in 15 minutes. You have two people that are trying to kill each other, and they're trying to stop each other from killing each other. So it's going to be hard for me for someone for 15 minutes to get finished either way.
I like it.
So I like to take a lot of overs. Overs are my favorite bets. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else you're looking to that you like this weekend possibly? Like if you had the money to bet, if you were going to bet, is there anything that you really think that there's value or you really like somebody to win?
Actually, after even looking, pulled up Alex Quint's track record a little bit, and we were talking about strength of schedule. So now that we're looking at it even more, she has definitely. Her kids are running.
Yeah, like I said, no privacy around here.
It's all good. It's all good. You gotta support the family.
Yeah, my 2-year-old son is a little nuts up there.
No, a little energy. That's
That my son never stops, bro. Never, ever. Doesn't matter what time he's up till midnight. Sometimes, actually, we're sleeping and he's still up, just looking up at the ceiling. I'm like, "Are you going to bed?" So yeah, that's the kid life.
No, you put that energy towards something. You gotta put him in wrestling or something.
Man, when he gets older, definitely putting him. I want him in jiu-jitsu, 100%, 100%. I want him in jiu-jitsu when he gets older, and then when he gets a little older than that, I want to put him in some baseball too.
Okay.
I need to keep him active. He's got a good arm.
Yeah,
he throws a lot of shit in the house.
Yeah, there's certain things when I look at it. I was just talking to somebody earlier at the gym, and I'm like, if I knew what I knew now back then, I would either go baseball. I would probably try golfing, just where and tear some money was. I might have put in my mind towards that. I mean, I don't regret nothing. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
when you see those baseball contracts, you're like, shit. How much are they making?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then there's no you can get injured, but it's not like there's no contact. It's not contact injuries. You're just like throwing out your shoulder or tearing an ACL from running. Yeah. There's not like what you do for a living. But I need to keep him active. He needs to do something. That kid has too much energy. Yeah. He's running around like crazy.
But no, when we get back and we look at value. I do agree on. I think I'm gonna double down more on that Alec Quinta. If you look at his track record, I totally forgot to beat Kevin Lee. I mean,
he's never been finished ever, never in his career has been finished. So I mean decision prop is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said, it's great value there.
I mean, though I think he lost to Jorge Masvidal. I was at the fight in Virginia. Though I think he lost that fight, that was a good fight either way. And, when you look at, you take someone like Dan Hooker, that's so close, though he is riding a wave, and you look at certain things, like, for example, his win against Gilbert. Gilbert's now surging, but I think Gilbert was a little green in that fight. You take Jim Miller was Jim Miller. I mean, I think Jim Miller's getting better with age or better matchups, I guess we can say. Outside of that, you take DeCasey. He choked out DeCasey, but he's not going to choke. I don't think Dan Hooker's choking out Alec Quinta coming from Sierra. So, I just look at
it's going to be striking battle. It's whether who's going to implement the game better.
Yeah.
Is Hooker going to be able to stay on the outside and, pick his shots? Mm-hmm. Is he going to land those knees? the head kicks, the jab, stuff like that, or is Al gonna be able to get inside the reach and really land those heavy hooks, heavy shots?
Oh yeah. No,
I mean, I'm on Hooker. You're on Ally Quinta. We'll see who gets the win. This weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And you're gonna be fighting, next year, hopefully, right?
yeah, I mean, right now my goal is go through this rehab. I'm hoping we get cleared February-ish, and then see what happens from there. I know right now PFL owns matching rights, so I'll see what we hear back if they're going to bring me back. If not, then I guess I got to go back to the regional scene and beat a couple of people. Biggest thing is I'm looking forward to just tackling the challenges head on.
Yeah.
I think people really focus too much in the time and place rather than looking for the lesson. So, right now when my ankle popped out on the contender, a lot of people were counting me out at that point, and then I reset myself again. So, this is one of those things where I say it to this day. I'm like, man, I don't know how that guy survived this right hand. My offhand, I just said all it takes is one, and when I landed it, you saw what happened. So imagine if I had both of my arms. So,
Bro, that was insane. Like, you fought with one arm for 2 rounds, almost knocked him out. With your non-predominant hand. So it's just, and then being able to get out of those submissions that like you did, it was just mind blowing. If no one's seen that fight, go on YouTube and rewatch it. It was freaking absurd the way, like, I don't think anybody would get out of those submissions, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because I'm like telling like it's only funny about a month later. I mean, during the time that shit sucked. But I remember being in a fight, and on our first exchange when I defended a takedown, and he goes to like snap down, and I feel my shoulder move. I'm like, really now, shoulder? Like I'm like having this conversation in my head. Of all times, in all fights, really, you want to pop out in the first round of this fight. And I remember being at the bottom of Mount, and Ali is yelling to the left of me. Ali, what's his last name? Ali, whatever his last name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He managed him too. So Ali's like yelling, like, "Hey, do this! He'll tap out." And I ran into him after the fight. He comes up to me and he says, "Hey, good fight, brother. That was good heart." And I was like, "Hey, I heard you coaching your boy." And he was like, "Oh, I managed." I think he didn't realize that I was listening and I can hear everything. So, like, it's one of those things. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm just gonna take it with it. And at the end of the day, you can watch the fight and be like, "Damn," or it's gonna take a while. Like, I think I played off the injury pretty good. Like most people, even when I talk to people after, they were like, "Why did you keep shaking your arm out and stuff?" And I was like, "Look, my arm wasn't in socket. When I was shaking it out, I was putting it back in socket." And
yeah, no one could tell that, like, at all.
I think that was one of the things. I even listened to the commentators and like Pete Showboat, and I was like, "No, I'm trying to put my arm in socket." And when I put my arms behind my back, I wanted him to come in so he'll run into my right hand, because
yeah, of course,
at that point when you're trying to gauge, I think people forget, when you're trying to gauge distance and range and everything. If I go in close, I have one arm defend a takedown against a jiu-jitsu black belt. I think people were forgetting that. And like when he kept flopping to the ground, I'm like, I can't go down there because I'm not going to be able to get up. You can't defend a triangle if your arm can only go this high. So, it's one of those where it's a funny story to tell, and you just have to laugh at the pain and just laugh at it and enjoy the journey. That's MMA for you. And I'm having fun with it. We'll go on to the next one and see where 2020 takes us. But, at the end of the day, my dream matchup would be, I'm looking at either way. If PFL brings me back, I would love to go to the 2020 season and maybe, I don't know, talking. I saw they signed Brandon Loughnane or something like that.
Loughnane? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect matchup for 2020. Two strikers.
Oh, hell yeah, bro. Yo, that would be a bomb fight, bro. Like, for real. Because you guys just throw down. You guys would literally stand in the middle and throw down.
Yeah, so if they bring me back, I think that'll be good. If not, then we'll go to the regional scene, beat up a few people, and then I'll be back. See what the UFC, contender, see what's up, or Bellator. So, it's whatever. I'm confident in my skill set. I'm confident in my team, and I'm confident in what needs to be done in the journey ahead. That I'll be back in no time. So it's just about enjoying that journey, and we'll be there. I guarantee it. So.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you're fighting, we're taking the show on the road. We'll definitely be at that fight wherever you're fighting. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it's in Atlantic City at PFL or fucking CES, Titan. Doesn't fucking matter. We'll be there. Definitely, it'll be a great experience. I haven't been to really any fights ever, so it'll be fun.
Okay, yeah, you'll have fun. We'll have fun.
But yeah, I think let's wrap this bad boy up. So that's our show, everybody. Happy that you guys tuned in. Remember, we're going to be doing this probably every Thursday around 9 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am GK, the Fight Analyst, and my man over here.
I am Peter Petties. If you follow me on Facebook, I am not broke, you guys. Y'all are taking it too seriously.
Yeah. What's your Twitter handle, your IG? Let everybody know. You can blast it out. So people can follow you get more fans. All the good stuff.
You guys can follow me on IG at Why So Serious MMA. Also Twitter, Why So Serious MMA. I really don't use my Twitter. I've been told I need to use it because I'm verified.
Yeah, you do.
Twitter, but not on IG.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, you need to get on Twitter.
I mean, Twitter, I'll just be talking to myself. IG, I actually talk to people. So.
Well, I mean, if you get interactions, follow some people, they follow you back. I mean, you talk. I mean, you're a fighter, so people are going to follow you. I mean, wait, aren't you verified anyways?
Yeah, I'm verified on Twitter, but I'm not verified on IG. So no.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to get on Twitter. People are going to interact with you, especially since you're verified.
True.
That's how it works.
Oh, well. No new friends.
Well, talk to you guys later. I'm out. I'm GK the Fire Ants. This is Peter Petties. Later, fellas. Adios.